Hello? Yeah, cool. Okay, thanks for the technical setup. Thanks for having me. Indeed, my name is Mees. I am from the Netherlands, as you can hear. I am a man of many things. I am a juggler. I'm also a mathematician. I'm a sourdough bread baker and a bike mechanic professionally. So not a mathematician, not a juggler. But today I'm here to talk to you about juggling, and in particular, the language that hides behind it, which is mathematical. And I want to start by making some common ground and checking if we all know what juggling is, because there's many different ways to look at it, many different ways to interpret it. I'll be doing a bit of this, I noticed. Let's try and fix that now. Yep. One could be juggling with balls, rings, clubs, but there's also these things, diabolos, you might remember them from way back when. They're like hourglass shaped. You could be using devil sticks or plate spinning. But then there's also all kinds of other types of circus. There's classical circus, there's modern circus with dance, there's clowning, acrobatics. I just want to be clear on what I mean with juggling. So together, we mean today this. This is juggling, so is this. And then, of course, so is this. And then this is always nice to put in there. And then we like to end with a bit of this. And a bit of that. So this is what I mean with juggling today, and together we're going to talk about this type of juggling. And to you this is just juggling, but to a juggler this is 3, 4, 4, 1, 5, 3, 1, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. And it's really true, and I want to try and make sense of this together today. What do jugglers mean with these numbers? Why do they make sense? And hopefully we can all together, at the end of the day, try some juggling ourselves, or maybe on Sunday, using these numbers. Okay, so, like I said, there is a mathematical language which describes juggling. And we, in this language, assign a number to every throw that we make. So we're just doing a pattern, and then every throw gets a number. And there's rules for how we get to these numbers and assumptions that we make. And we make these assumptions in order to, what's the word? Dictate, it's there. To dictate what kind of juggling you want to describe, because there's also kinds of juggling that you can do in real life, but the system does not describe it. Now the takeaway would be for me that if you, by the end of this talk, know that at least the existence of this mathematical language, well, check, we know this already. And then also that if I give you a juggling pattern, a juggling sequence of numbers, you have some kind of notion of what it means, and you can interpret it even. And maybe with enough practice, you can also do it. There's a little pitch for Sunday. There's a small workshop where I'm going to teach you how to juggle using these numbers. So hopefully you can use this knowledge on Sunday to learn some juggling. Okay, so let's dive straight in because I'm going to for sure run over time. What are the assumptions? One is that there's a metronome in the back of every juggler's head, which just means that you're throwing at discrete moments in time. And the second one would be that your hands are alternating. So it's right, left, right, left, right, left. This is my metronome. Yours might be this, a lot quicker or a lot slower. That's fine, as long as there is a metronome. These are all assumptions to make the math work, right? And then we don't talk about how to label a throw. How do we get to a number? And the rule is as follows. We make a throw with a ball in this case, and then we count the throws, the number of throws that happen before I throw this ball again. I brought colors. So let's do it together. We're going to focus on the yellow ball. I'm going to throw it out of my right hand. So not this time, but the next time. We're going to count. 1, 2, and 3. It took me 3 throws to throw it again, right? I'll do it once more. And 1, 2, 3. All right, so then we label this ball or this throw a 3. We can do it with the other colors as well. Maybe the green ball from my right hand. 1, 2, 3. And the blue ball is also 3, because I'm doing very generic juggling. So all the throws are the same, and in this case, they're all 3. In a diagram, you could view it as this. The colors are roughly these colors. So again, an R and L is my right and left hand, and it's a throwing moment in time, and an arc should show you roughly where a ball is going and what throw it is. In this case, they are all 3 throws. Now you'll note that juggling is periodic, and we also need to assume it is, because we could be throwing random throws all the time, but then we don't call it juggling. So we assume it's periodic. In this case, I'm only doing 3, so I'm doing the pattern 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, but we always take the shortest period. Since it repeats after one throw, we call this pattern 3. So there's your first pattern. Mathematically, this is 3. Not super interesting yet, but we'll get there. And the period is 1, and it's good to know that we use the number period in this way, the word period. I tend to mix up words and numbers. So yes, note that a 3 crosses hands. Every one of these 3s. It goes from right to left and left to right. It also makes sense if you think about the rules. We said that we alternate hands, and the 3 means that it takes 3 extra throws to throw it again. So because 3 is odd, it has to go to the other hand. I'll ask you to think about this and convince yourself. In that case, what is a 4? Well, 4 takes a little bit longer than a 3, should be a bit higher. And because it's even, it goes to the same hand. So this is a 4. Indeed. When I do 4-ball juggling, only 4s, it looks like this. And in that fashion, we keep going. All odd throws are crossing, all even throws are straight. For your entertainment, I'll be doing 5s, where you can see the yellow ball is crossing all the time. Oh, difficult with the microphone. Yeah, what I said. 0, 1, and 2 are a little bit special. We should talk about them as well. A 2. This is a 2. I'm holding a 2. A 2 is straight up, but very, very briefly hold. You can also hold it. That's why it's weird, because it takes the same amount of time. This is a 1, or a lot of 1s actually. It's a throw, the very fast one, and it's crossing. These are 0s. 0-ball juggling. Very important that we mention them. Some examples. Yes. 4, 2, 3. We should now be able to interpret this. We know what a 4 is, what a 2 is, what a 3 is, and we know what we do. We read out the numbers as we see them, and we throw them alternatingly. I'll try and do it slowly. 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And you don't have to understand this, it's just trying to... So we'll do more examples. 4, 4, 1. You remember 4, 4, 1 from the beginning, maybe. Again, I'll do it slowly. 4, 4, 1, 4, 4, 1, 4, 4, 1, 4, 4, 1. And finally, 3, 3, 0 is a very nice one. You get to see that zeros exist. 3, 3, I'll need the mic to be away to do it nicely. 3, 3, 0, and then you'll see that there are actually zeros, because I have some time to do this. Which you usually don't have. And I want to show you the diagram as well of 3, 3, 0, because then you'll see how zeros appear in the diagram. At some moments, so every third throw, there's no arc coming in and no arc going out. And you need to note that if no ball appears, you also don't throw a ball. This is obvious, but it's part of the assumptions as well. It's also funny, yeah. Yes, assumptions. Yes, no more than one ball can land at the same time as well. So it's possible to do this in juggling. I'll show you. Oh, I'm gonna try really hard. No. Try again. So it's possible, but it's not juggling. So in the diagram, you'll see that what happens is, if you throw, for example, what I just did is throw a 4, then a 3, then a 2, they will all come down at the same moment, and you'll have to squeeze catch them, which is cool, but not what we try to describe. And it's going to be also the crux in most of these things, where why a pattern, or why a sequence of numbers does or does not work as a juggling pattern. The fun begins. Why? Ah, yeah, because now we get to do the mathematics. So, for example, I tell you 4, 4, 1, how many balls do I need? It turns out it's the average, and then there's the math behind it, why that works. So I am not telling you why it all works, because I'm probably going to run over time already, but I'm going to give you lots of fun facts. What do I mean by the average? I mean the following. So the period is 3, and because there's 3 throws, a 4, a 4, and a 1. I'll add them all together, divide them by the period, and then I get a whole integer number 3. If it's a juggling sequence, the average is the number of balls you need. So 4, 4, 1, it was a 3-ball pattern. 3, 3, 0, the same applies. It's a 2-ball pattern, because the average is 2. As you saw, it is a 2-ball pattern. Proof by example, I don't know. Yeah, the proof, so I'm going to skip over that, because I realized it's too much to talk about. Please come to me if you're interested. I'd love to talk to you about it. So I told you every juggling sequence has an integer average, right? However, not every integer average sequence is a juggling sequence, because we just saw 4, 3, 2. If I do a 4, 3, and a 2, the integer, the average is still 3, but we can't juggle it. We also saw something else. We saw that 4, 2, 3 was juggleable, which is just a permutation of 4, 3, 2. We swap some stuff around. Indeed, it turns out it's a theorem that any sequence which has an integer average can be swapped around to some extent so that it is juggleable. There's a very nice algorithm behind it. I programmed it as well. I'd love to show you, I'd love to tell you, but I don't have time. Come to me later. And now some more facts. So if you have a pattern, you can take the period, for example, 531, period is 3, and you can add it to any of the numbers, and then you'll get a new pattern with one more ball or one less ball if you subtracted it. So for example, 531, we take an arrow to the right, we add 3 to the 1 to get 534. Again, I recall to you, this is 3, this is 531, what we begin with. Now I'm going to add 3 to the 1 to get a 4-ball pattern, 534. You have to believe me, this is 534. I could also go down from 531 and add 3 to the 3 and get 561. We get the 4-ball pattern 561. Again, you must believe me. Maybe on Sunday you'll realize I've been telling you the truth all this time. And then finally, whether you go from 534, 561 all the way down, you get the 5-ball pattern 564, 564, 564. And they all look a little bit the same, but of course a little bit different as well, because there's a ball missing. That's 564. Thank you, thank you. Another similar thing you can do is forget about the period, just add 1 to every number, or subtract 1. We start out with 330. We'll add 1 to each number, and we get our good old 441. And then we keep going. We can go to 552, where now I'm holding the 2s, just because I'm lazy. And finally, 663. And because I feel like it, I'll try 774 for you. Yeah, it's not on the slide for a reason. Right, I have no idea how I'm doing on time, but this is the bit I'd love to talk to you about. How am I doing on time? Oh, amazing. Okay, because now the question comes, can you just concatenate any 2 patterns, right? We can create patterns given that we have some. Thank you, Alex, I appreciate it. And in the beginning I was doing 3, 4, 4, 1, 5, 3, 1, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, which I just pasted behind each other, but you can't do that with any 2 patterns. To begin with, you need to have the same number of balls, I would say, obviously, but then even if you have that, can you always go from one to the other? State diagrams provide the answer, and the answer is no. You cannot do it. You cannot just paste anything next to each other, but there's always a way. You might need some additional high-low throws, but you always get there. What is a state? It's always a bit tricky to explain, and there's 3 ways to do it. I'm going to do all of them. I will tell you, I will let you hear it, and I will show you. Let's see which one works the best for you. So, let's see if yeah, I'll do it here. Okay, so we were doing our 3-ball juggling. I'm now doing the same color because it makes a nicer sound. What you need to imagine is that you're juggling along, and at some point you decide to stop juggling. So you're not making any more throws, but 3 balls are still going to come down. We're going to listen to what that sounds like. It's quite rhythmic. It's a boom, boom, boom. And we will record this moment of stuff coming down with XXX, because they're coming down right after each other. And I've highlighted the moments at which they come down, right? Bear with me. This is the hearing and showing part. Now I'm going to tell you. A state is exactly what I already said, I think. It is a moment where you stop juggling, and then it's a recording of the order in which the balls that were still in the air are coming down. And it could be very different than this, because you might think, oh, it's always this. No, but no. What if yeah, okay. The what if comes later. So what can we do with a state? If we look at the first ball that came down, which is now the blue 3, we can consider, well, where can I throw it? Because I want to not stop juggling, I want to keep going, you know? So these are coming down, but what will I do with the first ball that's in my hand? Well, I can't throw it one beat into the future, because there's already a yellow ball coming down, and we can't have two balls landing at the same time, right? I can't throw 2 beats into the future for the same reason, so I could throw it 3 beats into the future, like so, and that would just be continuing 3-ball juggling. And then we denote this like this. We were in the state XXX when stuff was coming down, and then we do a little arrow to the same state with a 3, notating that we did a 3, and that we travel to the same state again because nothing changed. Now what if I choose to do something else? Because I can't go 1 or 2 beats into the future. I could do 3, but I could go wild and do 4 beats into the future. Throw a 4, which gets me to the state XX-X, where dash denotes that nothing's coming down at this beat after stopping juggling. And I denote it by doing a 4 throw, and I think you get the picture down there, right? That's what this is what I'm saying is in the picture. Nice, nice. Okay, spoilers. So now the next ball that's coming down, which is now the yellow 3, I can choose to throw it not wherever. I can't go 1 beat into the future, but I've created a gap. I can throw it 2 beats into the future. So I could throw a 2. This gives me the following diagram. And this is what I'm building here is a state diagram, and it's telling me what I can do at every moment in time. And it's just a different way of looking at juggling patterns. And it's very powerful because it gives me all the options. I can play around. And now I can see juggling patterns appear in this diagram. If I do 3-ball juggling, I'm just doing this 3 loop over and over again. I'm doing 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. But as you can see, at any moment, when I'm back at my 3 state, I can do 4, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 2, 3, 3, 3, and so on. Okay? And I could do 3, 3, 4, 2, 3, 3, 4, 2. These are all legit options because you see it in the diagram. We check that it's valid, right? We could build it a bit more. We can bring out back 4, 4, 1, right? So if I do a 4 from the second state and then a 1, that's all valid. We know it because we saw it, but now we know it because of the diagram. So we have 3s, we do some 4, 4, 1, back to 3s again, some 4, 2, 4, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 4, 1, 4, 4, 1, 3, 3, 3, and so on. So this is how you can construct juggling patterns. And we can build it more and more and more and more, and you could keep going as long as you want. You just have to restrict your height, right? Like if you, height is the size of the number in this case. I've added some 5-1 business there, just to show you that there's also patterns that don't necessarily visit, I call it visiting states, don't visit this basic 3-ball juggling. 5-1 just loops around this state that has nothing to do with normal 3-ball juggling. So if I'm doing 3, and I want to do 5-1, I need to do something to get to a 5-1 state, which is a 4. So I'll do 1, 4, and I'll be doing 5-1 for a while. Yeah, maybe that was too quick. I'll do 1, 4, and then I'll do 5-1 for a while. But now I want to go back to 3-ball juggling, and I need to do something, but I can't look, so you have to tell me what I have to do. A what? A 2, yes, a 2. I'll need to do a 2, and I'll do it very quickly. That was it. And it doesn't look very big, but it was there. Yeah, and I was really stuck in this 5-1 state. Someone said 4, that's very good. I could also do 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, and then 4-1. I'll show you this. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, 4-1, 3. And I think I'm going over time now, so... This is only a glimpse of what there is to explore. I have much, much more to say, but I won't do it. Yeah, come and put your knowledge into practice. If there's any jugglers in the audience, I hope I've made you enriched your career by telling you about this. If any mathematicians, I hope I've made you wonder about why this works. And if you're neither, I just hope you enjoyed this.
That's great. I've learned a lot about juggling, maybe 500% more than I knew previously. And someone in the chat online actually says the diagrams for the state diagrams with the coloured arcs could be passementerie patterns. So I thought that was a nice little connection. Has anyone got a question in the room? Anyone who hasn't asked a question yet first? Yeah, I'll go over there and then we'll see what we've got time for. And I'll try not to knock over the live stream camera.
Probably you have been thinking a lot about group theory, no? And
The echo is too loud.
probably you have been thinking about group theory and the permutations you are working with, and there is probably some equivalence. Have you thought about that?
So the question is if there's a relation between group theory and the permutations of the patterns, right?
In the groups that are allowed to permute in the juggling you are doing.
So I know about group theory, right? I know the existence of it. And I did think a little bit of, ooh, can I find a nice juggling group or so? And of course, groups, there are symmetry groups, so there are permutation groups. And I was saying this thing that every integer sequence, which has a whole average, can be permuted to become a juggling pattern, right? But I don't know of a connection yet, but we have a whole weekend to find one. So yeah, I don't have many interesting things to say about groups connecting to juggling. I did think about it for a little bit, but if you have an idea, I'd be happy to talk about it. That's maybe a sad answer, but it's the best I have.
I'll stay over here and then I'll come to you.
Yeah, thanks. I remember like once seeing something about, I think it was deterministic finite automata or something like that, which is like a kind of like the basis of like computers and like computer programs. And I was wondering if you've ever like investigated, I don't know, if you could do like a simple calculation with the juggling balls, because I think that they use state diagrams like that, and then you kind of put an input in and it'll output something. I don't know if that's possible.
So is that where it runs through a state diagram or so, and then, see, I'm a mathematician doing all kinds of nonsense, so I don't really know something as applied as an automata. No, this is probably helpful, but
If you assign a meaning to those connections,
yes,
then that would be, you could process data just by juggling them.
right.
Switching from one state to the next. And the output would just be the route you went through the automata.
And what kind of meaning would that be that you would attach to the?
Assigning it from the outside.
Okay.
But you know, if you wanted to hide a message somewhere,
Uh-huh.
you could kind of say that an observer would pick up a message. Sorry.
No,
I don't know if
okay.
the audience online could hear that, but we've moved on to a slightly free-form description of representations. Yeah, any more questions? Question at the... oh yeah, sorry, I was going to come to you.
Have you done it in a social collaborative way? I mean, what happens if you start to do, I don't know, a triangle between three jugglers?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah. This is my jam as well. What I do mostly is passing, which is throwing stuff to each other. I don't know if that's what you mean, but and particularly with two people, the same mathematics applies, which is very cool. So now I'm using. You've never heard me. I said I have to alternate hands, but I didn't say how many hands I had. I have two, but the same theory applies if you have 4, 6, 5 hands, whatever. You just need to choose an order. So I'm choosing alternating, right, for 2 hands, which is an obvious order. But for 4 hands, you need to choose what's the order, and then suddenly where a 5 goes is no longer obvious, but you need to think about it for a second, and then you know. Then once you fix the order, you know where all the things go, and then it's the same thing. You where all the throws go, sorry. You just read the throws in order, and you make them, and this is something you can do, yeah. And there's more, but this is the, yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure we distribute the questions evenly, but if we, and I think we also are trying to keep a bit of time for a break. Should we take one more question and then take a break? Any more questions from, okay, good. I don't think you've asked a question, so I'll go to you.
So you touched on it briefly a moment ago, talking about multi-people and multiple people passing and site swap. Have you looked into any of the kind of polyrhythmic juggling stuff that some people are doing? Is that something that you've gone down? I realize this is a very deep rabbit hole and maybe not good for the last question, but...
No, nice, I like it. I've tried a bit. I didn't really get my head around like how to physically do it, you know? I would love to say what it. I'd love to define it for you, polyrhythmic juggling, but I don't really know how to define it. Like, I think the way I look at it is where you have. So I can show you one that I've tried. Maybe that's the best explanation I have. So the yellow balls are supposed to do a twice as fast as the two balls. So the twos go in a little snake here, the yellow balls go on top in a snake there, and then every so often their rhythms meet because it's a free versus two. But yeah, my body seems to find it very difficult, and I don't know the definition of like what is like. I know a definition of what this is, but I wouldn't know how to describe what it is. But there's definitely people doing it. I've tried a bit. It's fun. It's very mind-boggling. Yeah.
Great. Thanks very much. As with everyone, hopefully